You are now listening to Asking for a Friend with TalkDoc, sharing insights through real, honest, and practical ways to improve your communication and relationships. Featuring your hosts, Dr. Pamela Kreiser, Meredith Edwards Nagel, and Teighlor Polendo.
All right, you guys ready?
Yep, let's do it.
Hi, welcome back to Asking for a Friend with the TalkDoc. This is obviously the Father's Day episode, as you can see if you're viewing this, and if you're hearing this, Meredith's voice is not this deep. I want to welcome you guys. It's good to be back today. We're talking about work-life balance as fathers. Let's jump right into it and remind everybody of who we are and our background and what do we do for work.
Yeah, I can go first. Ralph and Tommy, it's great to see you again and be back on the podcast, first of all. And I am married to TalkDoc herself for 35 years. And in my work life, I'm a marketer. So I've spent decades doing marketing. And in my personal life, TalkDoc and I have transitioned to an empty nest. We have 3 adult children, and they are all out of the house now. So we're more like coaches to them than anything else, but we can talk about that a little bit later. How about you, Ralph?
My name's Heartfelt Polendo. I'm happily married to Teighlor. She's my person. We've got 3 boys, which I'm sure she's talked about quite a lot about on the show. The oldest is 6 going on 7. We've got 3 going to 4, and then almost 1-year-old. So hands are definitely full. I am a chief creative officer for a health tech startup called Katsu, and work from home. And so this conversation today is very prescient, because I am approaching it not as an expert, but actually here to listen and learn from these 2 guys, because this is probably one of my biggest areas that I struggle in is work-life balance. So happy to be here on the show today.
How about you, Tommy?
Ralph, I'm here to listen and learn too. No, I'm Tommy, or in my professional life, Tom Nagel, and I own and run a production company. We specialize in hospitality and brand marketing, Steelhouse Productions. And also I am a father of 2 little ones and just celebrated my 4-year wedding anniversary, but we have a 3-year-old and an 8-month-old, 2 girls. And I also mostly work from home. So I feel you, Ralph, on this front. It is definitely a challenge, to say the least, working from home and this whole work-life balance. Let's just jump right into it. So when you guys aren't wearing the, let's say, hat of professional or father, how do you nurture that part of yourself or wrestle with that?
What do you think, Ralph?
That's a tricky one.
I mean, these are tough questions.
I think what's interesting for the 3 of us on this podcast, we all 3 work in creative fields and identify as creative. So I know for some folks, their identity is not so intrinsically wrapped up into their work as it can be for folks who are in creative industries. And I think it's tough to kind of bifurcate that side of you between father, professional, self, and self-care. I think for me, self-care is a big one that I've struggled with over the last several years. A lot of conversations with Teighlor about my temperament, my needs. How do we navigate that with the complexities of raising 3 kids when you don't have the luxury of having a lot of downtime? And so it's a lot of planning, scheduling, open, honest communication. A big one for us is recognizing I'm definitely hardcore introvert. She started as an extrovert, and I've slowly pulled her to the dark side. So I think she's more of an ambivert now, and she's seeing the benefits of having some of that alone time to recharge your batteries. Yeah, I think having those moments to recharge your batteries is a big one.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in because I think Ralph and I, since we're closer in age and we have younger children, I think we're a little bit in the thick of this, where you have adult children that are out of the house and you want to say, have your life back a little bit. And I think for me, and I talk with Meredith about this all the time, I keep telling myself this is a season, because running a business, working from home most of the time, it gets very mixed between, am I working or a father at the moment? Oh, now I'm back to work. Now I'm being a dad again.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest struggles I have, we'll joke around and it'll be like, wow, I haven't done anything but work or be with the kids. And it's been 2 weeks. And it's, oh, you should go do something with a buddy or go work out or go for a hike. And for me, it's tough, especially running a business. When is there time for that? And I know, and Ralph knows what we need to do. It's a matter of trying to figure out to balance the scale back a little bit, because I feel like business is good. I'm doing the best job I can do, and I'm very proud as a dad. But I definitely see myself slipping a little bit, and you stress, anxiety, frustration, growing, building, being suppressed. And I think the biggest thing, Ralph, you could tell me if you feel differently, but it's like sometimes you just need a break. And I'm not talking just a break to go walk for 5 minutes. I'm talking like, oh, I need to go lift some weights or punch a punching bag or go chop some wood, or I don't know, let some steam off, as they say, a little bit. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this, Pete, because you've gone through this already. You're on the other side.
Yeah. As you were both talking, I was thinking back to that stage in my life. And first of all, it's not pleasant, but it's normal and natural to have that tension. And I get the sort of like just locking yourself in the bathroom for 5 minutes isn't gonna, to escape everything isn't going to do it. You need to release. And my guess is with your spouses, you're figuring it out of how you can allow each other some space, even if it's 30 minutes, to do whatever it is you need to do. I think it's great, Tommy, you identified for you. It's like, I need to go punch a punching bag or whatever it is. For Ralph, it might be different than that. We're clearly on the other side of that now. When the kids are out of the house now, Pam and I often talk about what are the times we can bring the family together again. So it's almost the opposite. Not that we obsess over it. We just want to find those times where we can bring, whether it's one at a time or the whole family, create those moments together. Whereas you both are completely overwhelmed by all those moments because it's nonstop.
Yeah, I
it's
think
nonstop. That's for sure.
something that's good for parents to hear too, if anyone's listening to this and struggling with maybe the guilt, needing that self-care, is it's the same analogy of on an airplane. If the plane's going down, you have to put your oxygen mask on first. And I think for a long time, especially when our second was born and just juggling all that, there was a part of me that felt like complete self-sacrifice is what was necessary for the family. And then that can only last so long, and you start burning out and realizing that you're less patient, you're stressed out all the time, you're burned out, you don't have the best part of yourself to give to your family. And so there's definitely a balance in recognizing that self-care is important, because then you're able to show up as your best self for the people who are counting on you and depending on you. And completely self-sacrificing everything, even though it may be necessary for a very short time, it's not sustainable in the long term and can end up doing more damage than taking those moments for yourself to recharge in whatever way it works for you. Some guys, it's video games. I recently got into jujitsu, so having that physicality, like Tommy was saying, is helpful too, especially because with our jobs, we're sitting at computers a lot and we're storing up a lot of energy and tension. So being able to get out and move and get those endorphins going really helps to bring you back. So yeah, just wanted to give that word to any moms or dads out there who are struggling with any guilt about their self-care routine. Just know that there's a validity in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think, go ahead, Pete.
Well, I was just going to say that I was wondering, because earlier in life when we had the kids around, one of the areas that caused me to get out of balance was what I called retreating into work. So I was in the office 5 days a week. I can't imagine actually how that actually works, where you're working at home, the kids are at home and your spouse is at home, and that's a lot going on. But what I would do sometimes would be retreat into work, right? Like I'd be in the office and then I would go, I'm just going to work a little bit more and get home a little bit later and delay the onslaught, which is obviously super unhealthy for any period of time. It's one thing if you actually have a late night because work demands that. But I'm curious if you guys, maybe because you work at home, it's not that way. The work's always there anyway, along with the kids.
I feel like it's a double-edged sword. It's a little bit. There's positives of being home, of being able to quickly help if need be, and I get to see my kids all the time, and I'm not just gone most of the week. But at the same time, it's actually the opposite, at least for me. The problem with work always being there, you always feel like, I should get something else done. I could do this really quick. Instead of, sometimes I joke with friends that have the 9 to 5 or work somewhere else. When they clock out at 5 o'clock, work's off their mind. They're done. They don't own the company. It's not their creative project. So they could just go home and be at home, where it's tough turning on and turning off constantly. And for me as a creative, one of my biggest challenges, we're working on these campaigns and editing videos, really trying to come up with stuff. And when you have to stop every 15 minutes for a crying kid or this, that, and the other, it's hard to get back in that creative flow. So it's a difficult thing for sure.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, I've been working from home for, I don't know how long now, probably 10 years. So pre-COVID. And I wouldn't trade it. I definitely don't want to go back to a corporate environment, but it does present its own unique challenges. And having that blurring between work and home, it helps to have a home office, like a space that's intentionally set aside for work. But again, like Tommy was saying, in our line of work, especially when you're doing a lot of problem solving or creative thinking, your brain doesn't shut off at 5 o'clock. And a lot of times the best ideas come when you're in the shower or making dinner or late at night. Your brain is always on. And so you feel like you're always splitting your attention and your time, no matter what time of day it is, between family and taking care of what you need to. And then just there's a subconscious part of your brain that's constantly working through problem solving creative issues with work. So it is difficult, but I wouldn't trade it for anything, because being able to have every day with my family, with my kids, to see them, I know that's worth more than any inconvenience that comes with having those blurred lines.
Have you guys found a way to set a boundary or have a ritual that could be patterned in some way that helps you with balance?
For me, we've gotten a little bit in a routine of just knowing that it's time for Dada to go to work and try to work to a certain time. And then if things are really insane and I have to push myself, I agree with Ralph. I wouldn't trade it for the world. So I'll sacrifice a little bit. And at, let's say, 5 o'clock or 4:30, I will cut off from work to make dinner, spend time with the family, get the kids to bed. And then Meredith understands if there's a major deadline or something, 8 o'clock after the kids are in bed, it's okay. I need to go back to work when it's quiet because I got to get this project done or something has to get done. But I 99.9% of the time can shut off at, let's say, 5 to 8 and take a break to spend time with the family. I think one of the best parts for me, which I love in my industry, is a lot of times we have deadlines. Let's say we get a gig on Monday. It's due 2 Fridays from now. They don't care when you do it, how you do it. It just better be done in 2 weeks. So the nice part is, let's say my daughter has gymnastics class from 10 to 11 on a Tuesday. I will take the time to go to that class, knowing that, I might have to work an hour after they go to bed or something, but I don't want to miss that class, or I don't want to miss that moment. So that's a real big benefit, at least for my situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, the flexibility is huge.
This kind of leads into another question. Ralph, earlier you were talking about the example of being on a plane and giving yourself oxygen first. And I just wanted to say, I think that is such a huge and important lesson. So again, if you're a parent out there, if you can't help yourself, you can't help your kids, and you can't help your wife or husband. So that's super important. And leads in a question I want to ask you guys. Has there been a moment where you truly felt out of balance, and maybe something you learned from that? Like where you just, the shit hit the fan?
Pete, you want to go
There's
first?
probably more than one.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a specific example. I think earlier in life, when I worked for a major airline, I traveled a lot. And that put a lot of weight on my partner at home with small children because I just wasn't around. I'd be gone for 3 or 4 days or a week. And that was part of my job responsibility, but it created a real imbalance in the home in terms of the contributions. When I came home, I had the kids. I walked in the door. It doesn't matter where I was coming from, Japan, Germany, whatever. I walked in the door and I had the kids. And we just found little ways to do that. But it did create imbalance. So that's my example. What about you guys?
For me, before we started recording, I was asking Tommy, because they've got 2 kids now, what was harder for him, the transition from 0 to 1 or 1 to 2? And for me, 1 to 2 was the hardest transition, because with 1, we could tag team a lot easier. And I was working from home at the time. And so it was easier to maintain that. And then as soon as the second one came in the picture, now it's all hands on deck. And I did not do a very good job of maintaining that self-care. Ended up putting on a lot of weight, wasn't eating the best, wasn't sleeping very much, and it just started wearing me down physically. And again, that goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's if I can't take care of myself, I'm not able to give my best to my family in terms of energy and attention and all that. And so that was definitely difficult. And so as our third was coming in, really making a concerted effort to get back on track, having those honest conversations with Teighlor about time I need to carve out, how I need to take care of myself. She was completely and utterly supportive, which is awesome, because that means that, there are moments where if I'm checking out to take care of myself, she's got all three, but she's more than happy to do that because there's a reciprocal nature to it, and trying to make sure to do the same for her as well, that she's getting that time to unplug and recharge, because she needs to show up as her best self as well. And so there's definitely the teamwork aspect to it, the honesty, the open communication, being honest with yourself, and then really sticking to those rituals and routines and things that really fill your cup so that you can, again, show up for your family. Yeah. Tommy?
It's funny because I was thinking you would almost think that going from 2 to 3 would be harder because you're outnumbered. But listening to you, I realized it probably is harder going from 1 to 2 because it's the most shocking of all of a sudden there's another human.
100%.
And then when you go to 3, it's kind of, we've done this, we're just adding another one. For me, some of the hardest times is bedtime. And I think it's just because everyone's worn out, everyone's a little cranky, and sometimes you get really lucky and boom, they're down in 10 minutes. And other times it's an hour and a half. And the stress level, I feel like, just hits the pinnacle that you just want to freak out. And I also think part of that is as soon as you get them to bed, you finally get a break. So you're about to lose your mind. And I'm sure there's a lot of parents out there that say that's one of the worst times. And if they don't, you're lying. Especially with a 3-year-old and an 8-month-old, it's just very difficult. What I have learned over the last 8 months, which has probably been the most difficult, having a newborn with a young kid as well. I think if my oldest was 4 or 5, it'd be a little easier. But the biggest thing for me is sleep, rest, which also coincides with what Ralph's saying is you need to rest your soul. And if that's punching a punching bag or doing jujitsu or whatever, you're resting your mind and your body, you're refreshing, you're recharging. And I think the biggest thing is just you have to communicate and find time to do those things, because if things start adding up where you're not eating right, you're not sleeping, especially sleep, I feel like, the tempers get real short.
Yeah, it's tough. I was thinking about when you have one child, you're talking about getting rest. I remember when you have that baby and the baby falls asleep, you can fall asleep. But when there's 2 around or 3, it never stops unless the stars align and they all happen to take a nap at the same time, which I don't know about you, but that doesn't happen. That didn't happen that
Never.
often. And one of the things we're talking a lot about the tougher side of balance and work-life balance and parenting balance. And I'm sure you guys would agree. There's just tons of moments of joy too with your kids. I remember those moments come out and you just lose yourself in time. You're laughing with them, or you're wrestling, or you're whatever it is that works for you. And they're the best. They help.
I'll give you an example that happened today. And this is part of why I agree with Ralph that I won't ever go back to an office job or whatnot. I'm in my office today and we're on a couple big projects right now. And Meredith's like, you have to come out and look out the window right now at my oldest. So I come out of my office and I go, and my 3-year-old is in the backyard singing more passionately than I've seen anyone sing to Frozen 2 by herself. And
was she holding up a mic?
No, but she's pushing a swing for her imaginary friend and singing like she's singing at the Grammys. And you can't get those moments back. Those are the greatest moments ever.
Yeah.
You can't be mad at a little 5-minute work break for that. That's worth it.
For sure.
Yeah.
So with work, just to change a little bit, besides monetary, what are the benefits of your profession to you, for you guys? Just talking a little work here.
Definitely what you talked about earlier, working from home, having that flexibility. My role is very similar in that it's more project-based. So as long as the project's being done when it needs to be done, the schedule is flexible in there. The flexibility is everything. And then being in an industry for me that is dealing with people's health and wellness, it feels good knowing that I'm supporting a product that is changing people's lives for the better, which is another reason why it was ironic that I was coming out of a season of zero self-care. So it was like, you got to be practicing what I'm preaching. Can't be representing a health and wellness product if I'm not healthy in myself. And then it's just being able to do a little bit of travel, work with people that I really care about, that have become good friends. And it's funny, my oldest really loves the company that I work for, and he's constantly drawing the logo and doing things like that because he's invested in it as well in his own way. So it's just cool to see that this is, it's not just a punch in, punch out, but it's really something that has enabled a way of life for us, and the whole family is wrapped up in it. And so it's really meaningful for me. Pete?
Yeah, that's great. I was just thinking about, Ralph, when you were talking about you get to work with people that you enjoy being around. And certainly the job I'm in now, I work for a small software company, and I just love the people I'm working with. I love in my profession that I get to be creative. The other thing that came to mind is I love coaching people now, and most of the people that are working for me are younger than me, just by definition. All the people that are working for me now are all Gen Z. And that pushes on me a bit to understand that vibe and connect. But at the same time, they're actually quite willing to learn and grow. How about you, Tommy?
For me, so I'm in production and mainly video and photography work. The benefit for me is I get to take my family traveling. We have a hotel client in Belize and actually taking the family there in 2 weeks for 2 weeks. Excited about things like that. The other thing is I do what I love. As a professional photographer myself, I get to scuba dive and travel to exotic places and do some cool stuff. Yeah, for me, it's just I'm doing my passion, which is, I think, is awesome. With that said, since we're all working,
well, hold on, Tommy. I want to break in here because
sure.
we don't ever want to let a Asking for a Friend podcast go by without a quiz.
Oh, here it comes.
It's quiz time on Asking for a Friend. Tommy and Ralph, you'll be competing against each other on this quiz, this Father's Day quiz 2025, okay?
Great.
You ready? Are you willing?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Here's the first question. What year was Father's Day officially recognized in the U.S.? And this is multiple choice. 1910, 1924, 1966, or 1972?
I'll say 66.
I'll go with
Tommy says 66.
B.
Ralph? 1924. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Okay. It was actually 1972.
I knew it.
It surprised me. You'd think it'd be further back in time than that. But that's when it was first recognized in the U.S. as an official day. Next question is, which of these is most likely to be Dad's ringtone? Classic rock, a barking dog, silence. Oh, by silence, the sound's not on. Or Eye of the Tiger.
Sound's not on.
Yeah, I'd say the same.
Oh, wow. You guys are right. You both got it right. Silence. All right, next one. What does dad bod usually refer to? This is late.
I feel attacked.
A muscular physique, a perfectly average, comfy body, a fitness influencer's body, a mannequin's build.
Average, comfy.
Yeah, perfectly average, comfy body. That's a diplomatic way of saying it, isn't it?
Average comfy body? What does that even mean?
A little soft.
Yeah.
Okay. According to the National Retail Federation, what is the most popular Father's Day gift? A, tools, B, clothing, C, gift cards, D, grilled meats.
B.
So Tommy's tools and Ralph is clothing. It's actually gift cards. See,
Oh.
Oh.
the dads just want the money.
Oh, that's what they want. Oh,
They can put it toward jujitsu lessons.
I took it as what they usually get.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
I thought ties were like
Gotta
the most
listen.
common thing.
Gotta listen.
All right, a few more questions here. According to consumer data, what is the average amount spent per person on Father's Day gifts? A, $50, B, $100, C, $125, D, $175.
50.
Ralph said 50.
I was gonna say A too, 50.
50. It's C, 125.
Whoa.
Wow.
All right. They're splurging on dad.
Kids are doing well these days.
Yeah. Where's my $125
I guess.
gift
I
card?
don't know. Or the partner's funding it or
Yeah.
something. I'm not sure. Next question. Which retailer category sees the biggest Father's Day spending boost? A, electronics. B, restaurants. C, hardware stores. D, sporting goods.
Go with A.
A, electronics. Tommy goes electronics. Ralph?
Same. Yeah. Electronics.
Electronics. It's actually restaurants.
It's
Wow.
restaurants.
Dads like to eat.
They like to eat.
Just take me out. All right, that concludes our quiz. I'm not sure who is the winner because you answered so many questions
Yeah.
the same.
I think we
I
think
both
you're probably
tied for.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I've got a question
exactly.
for you guys. And first for Tommy, what's it like being a girl dad? And Ralph, what's it like being a boy dad?
Being a girl dad, I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah. It's funny because I went into being a father and it probably sounds cliche or everyone says it, but you really just want a healthy kid. And I think when you're really becoming a parent, that's really just all you want. And I have 2 healthy girls and I love being a girl dad. They are just so freaking cute. Yeah. The sweetness is just unmatched. What about you, Ralph?
Yeah. On the flip
All
side,
boys.
it's a lot of wrestling, a lot of peeing outside, and poop and fart jokes. So it's right up my alley. Yeah. I didn't grow up with any sisters. And yeah, for me, this is more normative.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah. So it's been fun. I have little monsters running around.
You have your own club.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. We have 2 boys and a girl. I got a taste of each and identify all of what you guys said. And that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Cool.
curious to ask you,
Nice.
Pete. I've heard this before, and only you can verify that boys are more difficult to raise when they're younger. Girls are more difficult to raise when they're older, like in their teens.
Yes, but I qualify that by saying Pam did an amazing job through the teen years. So I think it didn't seem as much that way to me at times. I did become more frustrated with our daughter as she got older on some of what I thought perceived as irrationality. There was a time she came home when she was about 15 and from high school and said, I'm done with high school and I'm going to college now. And you're like, what are you talking about? You have to finish high school first. So yeah, I do think that's true. It was true for me. The boys are a little harder earlier on. They're just bouncing around, especially as they get from elementary school to junior high. In that, they really get really kind of nutty. But in high school, it's easier. And I think as a guy, when they were going through their high school, whatever it was, most of the time I'd already been through it. I could identify as another guy on that. And it made it a little easier to parent because of that. So, yeah.
I will be leaning on Meredith during those times. Right now, I'm just enjoying the sweetness and the little cuddles.
Do you guys have any words of wisdom for our audience out of your lived experience so far?
I feel like we naturally just came up with a theme for today's podcast. And I think this goes for moms too. You just have to take time for yourself. You have to figure it out. It's not a question of if you should or I don't have time. You have to make time. You have to find time to recharge and do for yourself. It'll make you be a better parent and a better partner.
Yep. Yeah, totally agree. I think if there's one piece of advice we could leave people with, it's that.
Yeah, that's great. And for me, just because I'm further across the parenting arc, my sort of maybe wisdom is there are stages of parenting. And as our kids have grown and moved out, I would say that you never stop being a dad. It just changes its shape a little bit in terms of how it shows up. I had lunch with our oldest son today, and we were talking through something that was important for him and I to talk through. And I think that it was important that I was there at that moment. Or our daughter would like help with her taxes. So I help her with her taxes and help her figure things out financially. There's a kind of a beauty in that. Certainly the weight comes off a bit from what it is when the children are younger, going through their formative years. But the beauty of being a dad is that you get to keep being a dad. And the challenge is to figure out what that looks like when kids are 10 or 20 or 30, 40 or 50 if I'm privileged enough to live that long.
That's good.
I love it, Pete.
It's been good being with you guys and
Yeah.
talking about what it's like to balance work and life as a dad at home and with a spouse and the kids running around or the kids that have run out of the house.
Always a pleasure, guys. Always love talking with you guys, and it's always fun to learn as well.
Yeah, likewise.
Good being with you guys.
Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, happy Father's Day.
Father's Day.
Once again, thank you for joining us today. Please remember to rate, share, and subscribe to our podcast. And thank you for listening to Asking for a Friend.
Let us know what you thought of the episode. Our email is hello@afafpodcast.com. This show is for educational purposes only and is copyrighted. Written permission must be granted before syndication or rebroadcasting. Thanks for listening to Asking for a Friend with TalkDoc.